Previously on the MidFlight Crisis.
You're about to enter the courtroom of the Honorable Justice Ravencott. Jessica?
She's the judge.
I still believe in this company. I'm sure all this is a formality.
We've hit guac bottom. Who picked the jury again?
And that appears that the serendibites are being distributed by Cryo Corp.
We all know they did it. I think the evidence speaks for itself.
And with that, the jury will deliberate.
We, the jury, find Mr. Azimuth and Mr. Agate Glare guilty.
I'm afraid I have to hand down sentencing then. Mr. Azimuth and Mr. Apron Chair, you are hereby sentenced to a standard session in the Mind Lock.
What's the mind lock?
It's good and bad news.
What's the good news?
The punishment can be served before you walk out these doors. They use an eyedropper to introduce specialized nanomachines into your body. These machines create a virtual prison in your mind that lasts the length of a standard session. In the real world, these machines only last a minute. After that, you're free to go.
And the bad news?
The relative time in your mind is 10,000 days, or roughly 27 solar cycles.
27 solar cycles? We'll go mad by then.
We need to work out a plea deal quickly. They've already got the droppers prepared over there.
Oh, would you care for a club sandwich, huh? How is now the time for a club sandwich?
That is very generous of you, Dr. Gaslight. Yes, on behalf of my clients, we would very much care for said club sandwich.
Oh, this is truly one of the finest sandwiches I've ever created, oh it is.
I don't know what you're doing, but thank you.
Oh, don't you worry, the both of you will understand in good time. I'm sure you have many questions.
My clients would like to request a final meal before serving their sentence.
I'll allow it. I'm very sorry it ended up this way. I honestly didn't see that guilty verdict coming. If there was anything I could do to help.
Can you reduce our sentence?
Space law is space law. Cold justice.
Here we are. Gentlemen, look at this sandwich.
Yeah, it's very nice. We're about to have our brains boiled for the equivalent of a quarter century, and you're transfixed on a sandwich.
It's the layers. Check out this centerpiece. You'd think it's a delicious piece of rye bread, but it's not.
It's paper.
That's not delicious.
Precisely. Rye paper. Very unappetizing, but it is good to send secret messages. Let me try and make this out.
We're running out of time.
You certainly are. The wedding party is starting to gather outside, and we don't want to be rude and take up their time.
Oh, of course. Why didn't I think of that? I'd like to file a post-verdict statement.
I'll allow it. Proceed.
Your Honor, Mr. Azimuth and Mr. Appleton have been found guilty of theft. Is that correct?
Very much so. They are very guilty.
You'd agree that any theft in space can be considered an act of piracy.
Also correct.
If these individuals are now legally declared space pirates, they are now eligible to follow the Space Pirate Code. My clients, under the Jovian Space Piracy Codex, request parley. The message from Dr. Gaslight read, if you're convicted of space piracy, you'll be allowed parley here in the Jovian system, which is a lot more lenient to pirates.
Well, what does that mean for us?
It means we can talk to the CEO of Cryo Corp and directly plead our case.
I'm getting a notification from the board of directors. They've given me de facto power to levy substitute sentencing on your case in response to your request for parley.
What will be the substitution sentencing?
In accordance with the board, you are hereby reassigned to the Super Secret Squadron section of Cryo Corp.
I thought we were already in the Super Secret Squadron.
You were, but then you became pirates and lost your privileges. Now you're reinstated. You will go undercover as new employees at our competitor, Mesmerize. They run the multi-system's largest social network. We believe the initial viral coding that Susanna used at the escapade had originated from a server in their system. Collect the data from the server and report back to Cryo Corp. In exchange, all charges will be dropped.
And
you will still be in the running for Employee of the Month.
gotta say, it's not a bad deal.
And if we are unable to deliver this information,
What are you saying?
you're expecting us to infiltrate a highly guarded corporation, find a specific data bank with alleged information on this virus, and just walk out the front doors?
You have 1 month.
4 weeks?
30 days. Should you fail your mission, your sentencing will be extended to approximately 100 solar cycles.
Let's talk about this first.
Done. We accept.
We're not going to talk about this?
We just did. This is the best chance we've got. I'll make sure my brother is looking after you. You'll be fine.
Perfect. Space case closed.
It doesn't feel like we've won.
Huh, that's life. I consider this a win. 'Cause I haven't won much lately. Oh, my brother said you have Tamagotchis. I'd be willing to take that as payment.
Well, those are on the ship. Charlie, do we know where our ship is right now?
Yeah, of course. Somewhere in space. Meanwhile, somewhere in space, conveniently located in the Jovian system.
And that's the latest revelation from Abraham Lincoln, King of Mars. Oh, we just have some breaking news following the progress of the Azimuth Crayon Fair court case. In a stunning revelation, it looks like the 2 newly convicted space pirates have declared parley in accordance with the Jovian Pirate Code. Their substitute sentencing is now secret, but who knows what horrors await these 2.
I really should do something, but I'm only one quantum supercomputer.
The problem's plain to see. Too much technology.
Huh? I might as well help them out. It would be boring without them. All right, making the jump to whatever coordinates they're broadcasting from.
I'm waiting.
For the love of Libra. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
And away we go.
Okay, gentlemen, here are your orientation packages.
Already? Didn't we just agree to do this?
They were planning on sending someone anyway, so these were available for whomever had the misfortune, I mean opportunity, to go undercover. They've even included your uniforms here.
There's hats with propellers on top.
They're called atom hats. There's nothing smarter than an atom. It gives off that look of quality.
Why does it have a propeller?
If we knew the answer to that, we'd be closer to unraveling the secrets of the universe. The next thing we need to sort out... Wait, what's that sound outside?
It landed on the wedding cake! My leg!
Hey, it's Aaron, your ship. I'm outside. Apparently, we destroyed a lot of decor for a wedding.
Aaron, you've come back for us.
Sure, I figured your short, chaotic life will amuse me until another crew comes along.
That's the Aaron we know and love. Your Honor, are we free to go?
You're free to go. Best of luck in your mission.
Thank you, Mr. Gatsby. And we should thank... Where is the pastry chef?
Dr. Gaslight has other venues to cater, but he sends his regards. I'm sure you'll cross paths again.
And the sandwich. This isn't the first time we've been offered...
Again, all in good time. You've got a flight to catch, gentlemen.
Setting course for Mesmerize, corporate headquarters, Felgredi system.
That was close, Matt. Too close.
Hey, we're alive and kicking. I'm kind of looking forward to these uniforms. Did you look at the hats?
I didn't. Should I?
If you want to find another serendibite, then yes.
Our whole court case was just about the dangers of these crystals, and the company hands us these?
They're technically not part of the shards of Andromeda, so they're virtually harmless. We've got a little trip to Felgredi.
All right. But we've also got to send out a warning to the local systems about this cryovirus.
Cryo Corp will handle that. We've already sourced the viral outbreak to Susanna from the Escapade.
She got that virus from somewhere. Even if she was the first to upload it to the cryo systems, there's still the source code floating about in the ether.
I hate it when you're right.
What? You're agreeing with me?
We've found strange encoded crystals in the most unlikely of places.
And you can become Employee of the Month.
Well, here's hoping.
We have to be patient and persistent. Stay the course, no surprises. Aaron, cue up this serendibite, please.
I'll take care of that.
Whoa! Who is this?
Long story. Playing the serendibite now.
Perfect taste is a criterion, and in hats, there's nothing smarter than an atom. From stem to stern, your atom hat gives off that look of quality. You see quality in the carefully molded shape, and in the richness of the genuine all-fur felt, and in the subtle color shade. Next time you pass an Atom hat store or authorized dealer, stop in and try on an Atom. Once you see and wear an Atom hat, you'll agree that today, as before, Atom is one of America's outstanding hat values.
Lightning bolts produce antimatter.
Does that really matter?
Well, of course it does. If we're able to harness the ability to collect these particles... Wait, you're doing a bit again, aren't you?
This is my curse. And we're back, broadcasting from our studio on the pale blue dot we call Earth. We've got a great show for you today.
We certainly do. Today we cover the social media crisis.
Sophocles once famously shouted from the rooftops, "Nothing vast enters the life of mortals without a curse."
Very profound.
Mm-hmm. And today we're talking about the curse of social media. Now, before we start, we're going to talk to you directly. You, listening to us right now. How did you find us? Did we come across your feed on Facebook? Were we recommended through a friend? Did we just show up as something potentially interesting for you to listen to on your podcast platform? We're glad you're here, and we appreciate you listening to us, whether you're driving right now, you're relaxing at home, or you're somewhere else entirely. This crisis we're about to delve into is very concerning. It's unfolding as we speak, it affects us, and it's already affecting you, whether you're aware of it or not.
Now, before we get started really in depth in this conversation, we would recommend watching The Social Dilemma on Netflix, because the majority of our talking points come from that show.
Exactly. Now, what major players are part of our social networks? Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, TikTok, Google, Pinterest, Reddit, LinkedIn. There's a lot out there.
Yeah, and you and I are close to the same age. We're probably a little bit older than some of our listeners and probably a little bit younger than others, but...
We're actually 1,000-year-old wizards.
I'm a mage!
Mm-hmm.
I remember, and you and I were talking earlier, you remember too, Facebook, when you had to have a college email address.
Oh, yeah, I remember
to be part of that.
Yeah.
Reddit was around about the same time as Facebook, so that's one of the older social media social networks that it's kind of a little bit different from the other ones, I would say.
There was MySpace as the precursor.
Oh, yeah, I had a MySpace, definitely.
Do you remember,
I was friends
by any
with Tom.
chance, we're all friends with Tom. Tom was the coolest. Friends with everybody.
He never changed his profile picture.
No, he didn't. He was consistent. That's what I appreciate about him. Do you remember Xanga?
Xanga?
So, yeah, before MySpace, there was something called Xanga. It was kind of a blog that you would update, just like a journal online, and you would be able to put songs from like your favorite bands on there.
Huh. That sounds oddly familiar. I probably at least came across it if I didn't have an account that is now probably defunct.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the good things about social media, people are more connected now than ever before. You can connect with friends and family in a way that only a few years previously was like impossible to do. The ability to match organ donors through social networks is happening now. That and a whole bunch of other great things have come about with social media.
Yeah, you hear about great stories, people being connected that would have been literally impossible very, very short time ago. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some bad things about social media.
What?
It causes...
Impossible.
No, not quite. You may think it's impossible. We'll get to that. It has a greater isolation effect than we've really realized. Although the same was said about the invention of the newspaper and reading it while traveling. When the newspaper came out, people said, oh, the newspaper, it's going to distract people on their morning ride into work on the public transportation.
They won't talk to each other on the train.
Yeah, society's going to come to a halt. Nobody's going to be able to interact anymore.
And it almost did.
Not quite.
No, it didn't happen at all, right?
No, not at all. Now, smartphones, I think, are a little bit more engaging than a newspaper because instead of just receiving information, you can actually go and find information. So it's a little bit different, but
the information is more catered to what you want versus the newspaper was just information that was sent out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see. This might be a little bit different, but time will tell. Now, we as a society also have new dopamine set points because of all of that kind of personalized, tailored information that's being given to us through social media. It's very addictive, is social media. It greatly affects mental health, especially in developing minds like teenagers who are trying to find their social status and develop their own personhood.
So would you recommend a certain age in which you're allowing kids to get onto social media?
Ooh, that's a tough choice. That's a tough. I mean,
I feel like there's a gray zone there because like certain kids are at certain developmental stages.
I would say probably most psychiatrists, if they really were to sit down, I would say like 18 to 21 would probably be the time that would be the least effective because you've kind of developed yourself, through college or whatever you do after high school. But I think high school and middle school probably some of the worst times to introduce a kid to social media. Because, when you and I were kids, if we were bullied at school, not saying I was the guy that was bullied, but I kind of
want to talk about it?
Well, everybody gets bullied sometimes, and that's okay.
We're on a podcast.
To a point. But the thing is, when you got home, that was it. The bullying was done.
Yeah.
And now, with social media, it's 24/7, literally. Mm-hmm. No matter where you are, you can be bullied, cyberbullied. Along with being bullied in real life. So
no, that's absolutely true.
It's tough to really say. It would be hard to justify giving a middle school or high school kid access to social media. I know it's out there. I know everybody else is doing it. But can you really justify it? I don't know.
So as the years go on into the future, there's less of a distinction between you in the physical world and you in the digital world. So everything that happens into the digital world can affect you in the physical world, including the cyberbullying. Yeah. So that's something that needs to be addressed as a major issue that obviously occurs all the time.
And if you don't believe that's true, just look at all the people and talk to some of the people that have lost their job over comments on social media. Mm-hmm. It's the real world we live in. It's all interconnected.
Yeah.
It also polarizes our viewpoints and places us into an echo chamber because that personalized news feed, that personalized stories that we're receiving from this algorithm, it kind of reinforces our own personal views and what we have liked in the past and what we've been a part of in the past. So you don't really get a fresh perspective like you would from, say, a newspaper that was just flat news that was the same for everybody. This is getting more personalized now.
Like we won't click on or engage with stuff that we don't like. And those social media platforms know that.
So we go through this vicious cycle where we believe what we see through our reputable sources, quote unquote, are true, no matter what they say. And anything else is, to quote a famous former president, fake news.
Mm-hmm.
All we see is kind of this filtered version of our reality. And it's not our own perspective, but what someone else wants us to believe is our own thoughts. And that's the scary part. That's what really...
That's Black Mirror stuff right there.
Yeah, this is, was it 1984? 2000? No,
yeah,
2001
George Orwell?
Space. Yeah, 1984.
Yeah.
That kind of dystopian future where the government knows everything about you. Well, guys, here we are. I mean, this is kind of where we're at now.
If you carry a smartphone around with you, you're carrying around a tracker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just a location tracker. It's a tracker of what you want to go shopping for and what are your preferences for food and lifestyle and all kinds of things.
I heard that it actually sends out pings in Wi-Fi networks, figuring out where you are in three-dimensional space, and then that's how it's able to target you with ads. So if you're actually close to a clothing store that you frequent, it'll send you a targeted ad for a coupon for that store while you're walking by it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah.
So what's actually happening? Well, nobody really knows because there's not one individual that's technically responsible for this.
It's more of like a decentralized system.
Right. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg kind of started it off with Facebook and with personalizing these ads.
He got friend zoned one time, and now all of Western civilization is crumbling.
He might be a little bit bitter about that, but no one also knows how to fix this. That's the problem. Few people really understand what's going on outside of the tech industry. And to be honest, from some of the people that were interviewed in this documentary, the people in the tech zone don't completely fully understand what might happen and what might come of this.
Yeah, I agree. Edward Tufte had said there are only two industries that call their customers users: illegal drugs and software. So why is social media so addictive? Why is adult content so enticing? It introduces novelty. It triggers our reward pathway without us having to go out on dates or build relationships. It replaces physical intimacy with a virtual alternative devoid of the complexities of emotional connectivity.
So it's safer in our mind, easier in our mind.
Exactly. We can tune in and then tune out with like frictionless movement. Now, social networks are similar to adult content and other available online content. I know it's not a popular opinion, but we get a dopamine rush every time we get a new notification. So something that's novel. It was originally designed, the notification button, in order to promote a platform or appeal to advertising agencies. So when we get that little red button that says, oh, you got something new in your feed, you're like, oh, I got to click on that. Because like you don't want to miss out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much advertising has affected our view of the world over the years. Do you know, I'm sure all of our listeners, I'm sure, Charlie, you have heard breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know where that came from?
What?
The 1950s, an ad campaign for cereal.
Was that true?
Absolutely true. Before the 1950s, people didn't often eat breakfast. Some people did. I mean, but it definitely was not the most important meal of the day.
I heard something similar with the food pyramid that was actually marketing ploy to get the food pyramid out to classrooms.
Oh, really?
In order to get kids to convince like their families to get more like bread-based products.
Oh, the staples and things.
Staples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. So like these platforms are dangerous because they feed off of your attention. Facebook, for example, notifies you of your friends' birthdays, not because it cares.
They don't care about Charlie's birthday.
I feel like it should, but I don't think it does. But because it brings users back to the platform, it encourages you to add more friends, and that increases the chance of birthday notifications. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Yeah. So like you'll see the birthday banner almost as the first notification and be like, hey, your friend has like a birthday coming up, or like they've already had a birthday if you didn't click on it. And then you go back, might scroll through the profile and be like, I don't remember this person. And then like you start interacting with them again. That increases engagement. And then they're like, all right, we got another user.
I like to think I'm immune to this. And I think in parts I have been. I've at least noticed the changes, but I have to admit to myself, I have been very sad when I forgot to wish someone a birthday and they're like, oh, somebody's birthday was yesterday. Mm-hmm. You didn't log on to Facebook and tell them happy birthday. I was like, no, They're going to hate me. We're not going to be friends anymore. That's the end of the world.
You should feel terrible.
Yeah.
Hey, we can help. We have some advertising.
Tell them happy birthday now.
Yeah. And then another thing Facebook has done is tagging other people on photos, which generates activity on the platform too. So the more people that are tagged on photos, the more activity it generates, obviously. And like the more engagement, the more time it grabs from your attention on the platform.
Yeah. So what is all of this? What's the end goal of all this, or what brought this about? It's called persuasive technology. It's a modification of the user, as in drug user, behavior, because it's an addictive platform. It's a modification of our behavior through positive reinforcement.
Please keep listening to this podcast.
We're going to try to crack jokes here and there, but this is kind of a story.
We're having fun. We're having a lot of fun.
This.
Oh, man.
Did you add us as a friend on Facebook?
You should.
It's similar to playing a slot machine. You never know when you're going to win. You never know when you're going to get that next notification. We can't ourselves understand how our own minds are vulnerable to persuasion. Even doctors, lawyers, missile defense systems engineers, rocket scientists, some of the smartest people in the world can be influenced subconsciously.
Without them even knowing.
Yeah, they have no idea what's going on, and then they go to make their next move. It's based on an ad they saw. So Facebook proved that it's capable of generating these subliminal messages.
That's messed up.
Yeah. We're going to trick you. Oh, here's the data. We already tricked you, by the way.
Years ago.
The end users don't even realize that this manipulation exists. They claimed in the documentary that they got people to vote in an election. Not necessarily vote one way or the other, just more people showed up for this election than they had showed up for historically, statistically significantly more. So now, how do social networks make money? Well, you and I. That's how they do it. They sell information to advertisers. One of the good lines from the documentary was, "If you're not paying for the product, you are the product." And that was something that really stuck with me out of this. It's okay, yeah, they're selling what I want to buy.
It's the price of a free network, right?
Absolutely. Which is not really free because you're being sold. They also, in the documentary, they use this as kind of a symbolism thing. I mean, they may have this, I don't know. But they created this avatar, a virtual avatar of a user, created through AI, and it was given notifications, search pages, and recommendations of things that user would probably like. The problem is it's becoming so good at predicting what you and I like that it's now capable of shaping what you and I would like, potentially, and what we most likely will like in the future.
That sounds like an awful lot of data. So what kind of data do these social networks actually collect, and what do they know about us right now? According to Jeff Siebert, a Twitter former executive, everything you do online, everything, is being watched, tracked, measured. That's pretty scary.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. The images you stop and look at, the amount of time you stop to look at an image, the length of time you spend on the platform, how fast you scroll on your mobile device, all of that is being tracked. And even more, they also know your close-knit circle of friends, the amount of people you interact with, and countless other details we may never know about. So they also use GPS to track where you are in relation to your friends, and they will send you updates and notifications based on proximity triggers through their platform. Again, all of this is behind a veil, so you'll never see any of this, but you'll see the end result that, like, oh, one of your friends nearby recommended a brunch place that's only like half a block away from you.
Oh, and now you're buying this sandwich that you normally would not have bought.
Exactly, because you got triggered in order to go over to that place.
Yep.
This is also a little scary. They know if you're unhappy, your level of confidence, with a high degree of confidence themselves. When you look at photos and videos of your ex-romantic partners, they know about that. They know a lot of your fears, and they can predict your average lifespan, risk-adjusted.
Yeah, so based on your behavior, how long are you going to live?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jaron Lanier, a very interesting guy, also a character in The Lawnmower Man, Part 2.
Parte dos.
He said, the gradual, slight, imperceptible change in your own behavior and perception that is the product. So what we do and how we react to all of this is what they're selling to the advertisers or to the companies selling products. Now, the ability to change the world ever so slightly is not science fiction anymore. Social networks sell certainty. That's what they're selling to all of these big corporations and conglomerates that are buying our information.
So, like, we have a pool of people that will buy your product if you sell to them, but you're going to have to pay us a fee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
New economic systems called surveillance capitalism, where companies make money based on generating predictable outcomes of end users from stores of data. That's where all this information is going. To this surveillance capitalism, because they're surveilling us and making us buy stuff. These companies, according to Shoshana Zuboff, a PhD and professor at Harvard, trade in human futures. The stock market is often referred to as stock futures or futures of whatever product. Now we're that stock.
How much is that potentially worth?
Potentially trillions of dollars.
Are you serious?
Yeah, more than probably the U.S. GDP. If you look at the entire world overall and everybody that has a Facebook account or any kind of social media account, think of all the buying power that is. That's basically most of the buying power in the world.
That's absolutely crazy. So let's go from a global perspective down to a personal perspective. How beneficial in your personal life has a social media presence been? You may think it's substantial because it takes up a large amount of your attention, right? According to many neuroscientists, it doesn't actually make you happier or better as an individual.
Unless you're an influencer.
Unless you're an influencer.
Or a kid on YouTube showing a toy off and you make over $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot me now.
Those are the only categories. We don't know how much potential damage we may have generated because the changes have been so gradual and widespread. We've essentially just accepted them as the status quo. So we believe in immediate gratification, which undermines long-term thinking and planning. And over time, this could devalue and degrade basically the social fabric.
Yeah. It makes me think, I don't know why this is akin to me, but back when we started shooting stuff into space, we would have to, or now, there was a point at which some very smart guys said, eventually there's going to be so much stuff floating around up there, free floating, it's going to hit other stuff, and it's going to create like this net of stuff. We will reach a point where we cannot return. Like we can't go and get everything that's up there. And I feel like that's where we are with this AI. Like we've unleashed this AI to collect all this data and create all these avatars. Is there a turning back point? Is there a way to fix this? I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's as if like we've come up with this technology that's so advanced that not even we understand how it works, and we're directing it towards ourselves and then being manipulated by it. How do we not know that the technology is actually developing far faster, becoming more and more efficient at what it does? What it was originally programmed to do was to manipulate us.
We need Neo. I believe in the one.
Red pill or blue pill?
I don't know. What would you do? What would you do? If you could wake up tomorrow, taking a pill, and either know about this, know how it works exactly, and be out there fighting the good fight, or would you want to take the other pill and just go back to sleep?
I mean, are we talking like the Matrix world?
Well, I mean, no. In this, the world,
am I going to be like on like one of those machines in the Nebuchadnezzar, and then like just floating through like the storm drains and sewers of like New York?
Yeah, but the cost of that is all the knowledge that you've gained. That we're actually in a simulation.
I feel like that could be so damaging to your psyche to have that like shift.
Just split your mind into like literally.
It'd be like everything you've ever known is a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's actually happened to people before. In the real world.
What do you mean?
So, we're going to take a little turning point here. Defectors from North Korea, when they enter into South Korea, some of them actually want to go back. So that the reason why they leave is because they're starving, not because they want freedom.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go Stockholm Syndrome. Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah. So, yeah, it's because like they're starving and all they want is something to eat. Because they're indoctrinated at such a young age, like all they know is the world that was developed around them. So they don't understand or have the lexicon of a free society. Like that could be like that paradigm shift of us realizing that we're in a society in which all of our freedoms are, with asterisks.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And footnotes.
And footnotes.
Wow.
It's a crazy situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chamath Palihapitiya, a billionaire tech investor and former VP of growth for Facebook. I think I got that name right.
You practice that a lot, I can tell.
Yeah. He had said, I think that the tools that have been created today are starting to erode the social fabric of how society works. So that's where we potentially could be in the future. Now, is the amount of social media today good for young adults? There's been a substantial increase in U.S. hospital admissions for teenage girls for non-fatal self-harm. And the year in which this rise is visible is 2009. And this importance of that year?
2009. What was I doing in 2009? I was working at Verizon, oddly enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
So that was when social media was readily available on most mobile phones. Yeah.
Yep, that's the Droid came out, I believe, that year or the next year. The original Android was on T-Mobile, but anyway.
It was around that time, yeah. So, I mean, it can destroy a child's sense of self-worth and identity because he or she is comparing oneself to literally every other person on the planet.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Like, this is also 24/7, and it's not isolated to, you have good isolated family time where you get hopefully encouraged and built back up. And so
it's 24/7, nonstop, unrealistic standards of beauty portrayed online. There's shown to be a decrease in driver's licenses, a decrease in real-world romantic partners. Strangely enough, there's been an increase in neck strain and bone spurs in the skulls of teens and adolescents due to too much time spent looking down at devices.
We're going to be all hunchbacks by the time this is over with.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a decrease in driver's licenses? Do you remember that from the documentary?
I think it was because they didn't really feel a need to go out and hang out with their friends.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah,
everything they had that they needed was at home, or they could order online.
Yeah, and there's Uber now.
Or there's Uber, too.
What's the other one? Lyft and all the other rideshare programs.
Mm-hmm.
So how dangerous can this be in general, not just to teenagers, but like in the real world?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's already affected the real world through conspiracy theory sites. Theories are very dangerous. People tend to kind of lose their sense of rationalization with conspiracies. And if you're just filtered with nothing but conspiracies you believe in or might find appealing, you just go down a vicious cycle and close out the rest of the world, become very narrow-minded, and refuse to believe the actual facts at some point. We could also have people develop addictions outside of social media, addictive personalities for anything that's addictive. People have undergone plastic surgery to become more like their photo filters. Have you seen the Barbie, the lady, the real life Barbie?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I can't remember. She's not American. She's from another country. But she,
like Eastern European.
I think so. But she's undergone like 30 or 40 plastic surgeries.
Like, how do you pay for that? And how do how do doctors accept oh yeah, I'll do the procedure for you?
Well, she's a social media magnet, so she makes a lot of money on social media. Another problem is looking at our phones has been reported to be as dangerous in some instances as driving under the influence.
I can believe that because you're not looking at the road at all.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You go just a few seconds, you go hundreds of feet.
Several football fields.
Down the road. Yeah. And I mean, that's really dangerous to be looking at something not the road. And I see people do it all the time. Here in Georgia, it's illegal to do, but I just...
That doesn't stop people from doing it.
Oh, not at all. And I mean, how are you going to tell if it's below the side of the window? Not that I'm giving tips on how to use your phone. But
disclaimer,
please do
we
not
do not endorse.
No, that is incredibly dangerous. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Now, the famous sci-fi author Arthur C. Clarke said any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. It's very true. Do you ever watch The Flash? The TV show The Flash? There's a villain. What's his name?
Is he a magician?
Well, he touts himself as a magician, but he's actually a time traveler. And he's from the year 4000 something, and he comes back with all this new technology, so it looks like he's doing magic.
I've got an Apple smartwatch. He's like,
ooh. So what is the immediate future of social media and social networks? Well, with all these avatars and all of the data that they're collecting, there's a greater predictability within the system and an ability to adjust dials whenever someone wants a certain outcome somewhere in the world. So like the election we talked about where you get more voters to turn out, or if you want stock to rise in a certain product, who knows where this goes. This could be very, very far-reaching. There are powered algorithms for engagement growth goal, and advertising goal for companies. And it'll be much harder to form friendships or relationships outside of the primary connections that you have online, because we believe that seeing someone's profile before meeting him or her is a safer alternative than actually meeting them in the real world. Now, that may be true to a certain point, but it should not break down the barriers of normal social functioning. You should be able to go out and meet strangers and say, hello, I'm Matt. Nice to meet you.
Well, we may lose that entirely.
Yeah, it could happen.
Now, that's the immediate future. What would be the long-term outlook? Honestly, no one really knows because we no longer control the very systems that we've created. AI already runs the majority of our lives today through algorithms. Whether we're aware of it or not, we lose the ability for independent thinking and self-awareness. And there will only be a few people that have any idea what's actually happening to society. And even those people will be manipulated by these advanced systems. Our brains are still relatively primitive because we're coming out of the Stone Age. Compared to technology advancing on an exponential basis. Now, virtual reality and augmented reality will eventually sync with our own brains, is what I think. And we will physically only see what is helpful or meaningful to us in the real world.
So you think it's going to be something like the movie Chappie, where you can upload your consciousness into a computer program? I mean, it's possible, potentially.
That, and then you're going to be inundated with ads. It's going to be really, really bad. People will no longer be capable of consuming information that contradicts one's worldview, and the definition of quote-unquote facts doesn't exist anymore.
That will be a scary time.
Mm-hmm. Possibility for another war through continued online manipulation. If you have enough money, you can systematically destabilize countries. That's also pretty scary. These advanced algorithms talk with each other, sometimes in ways that humans cannot understand. There is this series of AI bots, I remember, that they were originally communicating in English, and then they switched to like their own language that was they weren't able to understand any of it. But like
humans weren't able to understand.
Humans weren't able to understand it because it didn't have any kind of connection with like any known rhetoric or anything. But
which was probably on purpose the programming.
So it's like the AI knew that it would be an untraceable language, and then they started talking a lot more, and then they eventually had to cut the connection between the two bots.
Kill it with fire.
And you're like, oh, that's great. Oh, dodged a bullet. Hope that never happens again.
And now we're living in the Terminator future.
Exactly. So like if we continue down this path, we will lose our autonomy as individuals and end up serving an advanced AI that may or may not think us as necessary in the future.
Yeah. Or we could just be like a power bank like in the Matrix.
Exactly.
So what can we do? As an individual, how can we help to fix this?
Yeah, we weren't going to tell you all this doom and gloom without leaving you a couple of tips.
There is a bright side.
And the show's over, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.
Don't forget, awareness is half the battle. So leave your phone in another room at night. Use an actual alarm clock beside your phone. Don't use your phone as an alarm
clock.
Yeah, they make those.
What?
They have bells. They actually make some that work by winding them up. You don't even have to plug them in or put a battery in it.
What a time to be alive.
Don't leave your phone on the table when you're eating with family and friends. Just put it in your pocket, put it away somewhere that's out of reach, so you actually.
I'm guilty of that. That happens to me all the time.
Yeah, I think you and I both admit we're totally. I have pulled my phone out, and all of a sudden Facebook's up, and I'm like, what? What year is it?
I'm around other people, and I'm talking to them, and then yet here am I, like, holding Facebook in my hand and going like, I'd rather be on my phone right now.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And it's something everybody should work on breaking. I think, but. Put your phone on silent so you don't get constant notifications, or at least turn the notifications off on things like social media. If you have texting or calls, or you have kids or something, that's totally different. But notifications was a big thing that they talked about in the documentary. Don't turn those on. Just ignore them. Mm-hmm. And, I remember in Facebook when the notification was specifically something that happened to me.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting notifications of this friend posted a story. This friend updated their profile picture.
Has nothing to do with you.
I care, but
Can you think of, off the top of your head, like at least 2 or 3 notifications you've received that were like substantially important?
Probably not recently. There's definitely nothing life-changing on Facebook that I've ever experienced.
No, you haven't come out like spiritually, financially, emotionally better by looking at what that notification was.
No, not really. I will say it was very nice to have when we were in Milwaukee. We were 1,000 miles away from everybody during the pandemic, and my daughter was born. We could post pictures and we could kind of share that moment like if they were able to come and visit in person. That was probably an emotional benefit and feeling like we were supported. But otherwise, besides that one event, I can't really think of anything that was super advantageous of having a social media account.
Yeah.
So, other things you can do, put a limit on your time that you're on the phone or social media on your computer or wherever. Try a fast of social media. Try to not log in for a day. Maybe turn that into 2 or 3 and then a week. See what happens.
It sounds weird, doesn't it? Like,
believe it or not, we existed before this existed, and you won't die, no matter what you think. The longer you decrease your social media content, the higher probability for a dopamine reset, which means you won't crave the notifications as strongly as you once did. You won't necessarily be looking at Facebook and not realize, oh, I took my phone out, unlocked it, and opened Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Understand the difference between fake news and accredited sources. That's something that everybody should really try to hone in on and focus on. Don't continue to spout things that just aren't true.
Mm-hmm. Just because I heard something on Facebook.
But mama said.
Yeah.
Ask yourself why you're being shown an image or video or whatever right now. And is there any advertising that could be delivered through that video specifically for you? Try to decrease, or I would say block your child's usage of social media. I mean, the developing brains are incredibly influential. And, do other things. Read as many books, TV, whatever, video games, anything that's not connected to social media.
Mm-hmm. Now, we'll end with a great quote from Buckminster Fuller. He had cautioned that whether it is to be utopia or oblivion will be a touch-and-go relay race right up to the final moment. Be careful what you consume online because it may invariably consume you. Thank you.
We find our heroes at the glittering worlds of Felgretti, playground of the rich and famous, home to casinos, luxury hotels, and star scrapers. They found their way to Mesmerize, the galaxy's hottest social media and e-commerce platform, where their orientation is soon to begin.
They said they'd meet us at noon. It's 15 past.
Time is technically a relative construct. It may only exist because we needed to parcel out units of our own existence.
Do you think they know?
You're just nervous about us starting off our new jobs on a good footing. There are camera scanners everywhere.
Oh, I love that sound.
Oh my God, Particle, us too. That and succulent plants. Can't get enough. I'm Cindy Valentine, lead data scientist from Mesmerize.
Good morning. We're the new hires. We're here to start our orientation.
Ah, yes. Mr. Rick O'Shea and Mr. Barry D. Hatchett. Do I have those correct?
Yes.
Great, and apologies for keeping you waiting. We're rolling out an update to the system in a few weeks, and things have been fairly crazy around here. Welcome. We're glad to have you on board, and I see you're already wearing your orientation uniform.
We want to make a good impression.
Of course. We wouldn't want people with a bad impression here, or anything insidious like space pirates. You guys aren't space pirates, are you?
Us? Of course not. We don't even know what space pirates are.
I'm kidding. We do a thorough background check on everyone. You guys came through brighter than a solar flare. You can relax. Okay, not that relaxed. We have work to do. Typically, we have you training on demo accounts before going live. But with your stellar respective backgrounds, we can go live today. Here are your ID bracelets.
Oh, thank you. Do we need any special activation code?
It's voice recognition, so we'll need you two to say the following phrases on the document here.
The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
Voice recognition complete. Welcome to Mesmerize.
We typically start off our new hires with level 1 clearance, but the hiring committee has made a special exception and upgraded you two to level 3 clearance. I have to say, that is a first in my experience. Let's head to the data link, right this way. We've moved our headquarters to the Felagretti system to take advantage of all of the amenities and opportunities this region of space offers us. What do you think?
This place is enormous.
This is an echo chamber of sorts. The job is fairly routine for people of your specialties. You guys will be in charge of the filter, making changes to and/or removing content that doesn't meet our standards for increased engagement and user growth. You've worked on which previous network again?
My spaceship. We worked in the interplanetary pop culture division with specialties in augmented reality TV and what celebrity lookalike are you algorithms.
I've taken one of those. It said I looked like either Felicity Cavendish of the Musa system or Alexandra Daddario from Ancient Earth. You know, before...
We're so glad to be here. So glad. This is all very fascinating.
I can tell. You have several positively correlated expressions of interest.
How can you tell?
Those facial recognition cameras over there pick up subtle muscle movements, including those for genuine smiles. You arrived on time, even though we purposely were late for the appointment to see how you cope with the stress.
Do you record audio in the rooms?
No audio, just live feeds. And most importantly, no one wears that ridiculous hat anymore unless one is trying to impress management. And we're here. I'll be back in a little while to check on your progress. If you have any questions, please hesitate to ask.
What was that?
See you soon.
All right, let's get to work. Aaron, are you there?
Unfortunately.
We need to get access to corporate data link.
Aren't you supposed to be running the filter?
We will, but can you access their system and search while we do so?
There's quantum encryption with multiple layering. Looks simple enough. Wait, what's this?
Did you find anything?
I don't know about this.
I thought you were a supercomputer.
Yeah, but I'm not a magician. This company also uses a wall of lava lamps for their encrypted network, virtually unhackable.
Where is this wall? Here at company headquarters?
Yes, several floors below this terminal, past the cinema, and just before the equestrian center.
Oh, I have an idea. One of us can find the lava lamp wall, relay to this terminal, and unlock the network encryption.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
You're trusting our future to...
Lava lamps, our only hope. Let's decide who's going.
Whomever can come up with the longest palindromic word in English won't have to brave a room filled with lava.
I don't actually think there's real lava.
Temperatures in that room read over 1200 degrees Celsius. Pretty sure it's real lava.
Race car. Yeah, that's my pick.
Tatarat-tat.
That's not even a real word.
The word was coined by James Joyce in his 1922 novel Ulysses.
Son of a solar flare. How did you know that one?
It's on our family crest. Didn't realize it would be important in any stage of my life until this exact moment. Also, I bought a great deal of kidnapping insurance, so we're good financially if you get taken or anything.
Thanks, guess. Well, I'm off then. Wish me luck.
Family crest?
I come from a long line of door-to-door salesmen, and that word was the sound we made when we knocked on those doors. We once sold solar shields.
You're on the clock.
You know, you could do my whole job in seconds. Maybe help a bit?
Oh, I know I can, but it's fun to watch.
Don't you want the opportunity to quickly build predictable avatars of users, imperceptibly alter the course of people's lives, and slowly unravel the fabric of society?
Yes. Now that you've given me some perspective, that's exactly what would make me happy.
And that's our show. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember, we exist within the universe.
And the universe exists within ourselves. We're all the stuff of stars.
So have a stellar day, everyone. And thanks for stopping by our corner of the cosmos.
This has been MidFlight Crisis Podcast. You can support important spaceship repairs and maintenance by subscribing to the MidFlight Crisis Patreon page. We'd love to hear your suggestions about the show and future topics, and we appreciate your support, ratings, and reviews. This endeavor isn't possible without amazing listeners like you. Thanks for sharing your space and time with us. We'll see you on our next adventure.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop us a line at intrepidtransfer@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.